Hi Chris, this is all about the application to DCMS Rural Connected Communities due 25th of October 2019 based on our recent conversations. Our proposal's 5G New Thinking, all about getting private shared spectrum networks in rural locations. I've just grabbed a couple of pages from the DCMS document. There's the URL at the top here and Test Beds and Trials Programme. And what I wanted just to show you was that this time round, there's calls for obviously new business models. So it's not all about the mobile network operators. And really what we're trying to do is get an opportunity to improve the extent, quality and benefit of connectivity in rural areas, ultimately for people. Another relevant point I've just pulled from page 3, it's expected that projects will demonstrate the commercial and wider social value of 5G in several ways, and I know that's something very important to PureLeapFrog. Additionally, they're talking about on page 20, so lots of pages skipped there, that they're looking for proposals to demonstrate the ability to attract additional funds during the grant funding period, i.e. from investors or loan books. So again, that's our conversation that we've had recently and the one that I mentioned briefly to DCMS. And we see it again in the fundings and investors on page 21, where they'll describe your relationship with funding bodies such as investors, research, innovation agencies. So we feel a great opportunity for PureLeapFrog to be part of this. What are we trying to do? Well, we're trying to take the UK and we're trying to take rural areas which don't have connectivity, largely down to business reasons for the mobile network operators like Vodafone and so on. There's no return on investment in the way that they would roll out a network. We've been working in many different things for a number of years to try and address that. Our most recent successful project, as you know, is 5G Rural First. And the vision at the bottom is just connectivity with these new private networks, which we do federate and we do connect up to the MNOs. DCMS funding is going to be just over 2 years. These are the key things that we do in the project. So it really starts in Orkney and Shetland with the BENCOM that we've spoken to you about and demonstrating technology-wise we can do this, and also business-wise that a BENCOM, so for the benefit of the community, is a good way of moving forward. Then the other key components in this high-level diagram, looking at the engineering we're required to do, the community planning and building, again, all about community. Who owns it? Network ownership, sites, real estates, way leaves, working with the community, council relations, community relations, and then other subsidies and supports that might be available, subject to state aid considerations. We must link to the mobile network operators. We must have something that's operational and sustainable. We don't want just to build something that closes down as a project. This has to be real and serve communities. And ultimately the finance building, and again, this is very relevant, I think, to our conversation. So how can we do this with appropriate funding, private funding in the conversations we've been having? Who's here? Well, we've got 5G New Thinking. The lead partner will be Capita, so management, finance, use cases, IT services. Cisco, $50 billion global tier 1 company in Wi-Fi, wireless, mobile. They'll be doing core 5G services, marketing and network design will be their work. Strathclyde have been innovative in this for the last 12 years, so we will be taking our place as a lead partner. BBC continue to work with us. They have done since 2011 in the R&D group. They have an extensive RF design group, Spectrum Advisory, and also a very interesting use case. Federated Wireless are all about the spectrum sharing, which is one of the technical components of these shared spectrum. Neutral Wireless is an SME from Scotland that we are associated with, and we will be getting tier 2 equipment. So we need the radio equipment, we need the 5G, and that would be a key core output. CloudNet's on Orkney, and they would be driving forward some of the installations, the toolkits, and working and creating the BENCOM. And then at the bottom here, well, here's the concept that perhaps PureLeapFrog could be a partner here. And based on our conversations, Chris, measuring social impact and community benefits, advisory of asset finance, social impact companies, societies and co-ops, support for PureLeapFrog finance. So ultimately, communities want to do this. They can't keep waiting around for grants and interventions. Let's do it. Let's find a business model that works. So the engagement perhaps for PureLeapFrog, it would be great if you could be in the advisory board, helping us with the social impact. The experience from community energy, bringing it to 5G is very important. I envisage maybe a full-time equivalent or perhaps more, one person funded over the 2 and a bit years. And DCMS funding is the same as Innovate UK, so 60% of costs plus travel and those overheads included as well. We're working with a number of use case partner leads. So Rural First would be the BENCOM we propose in Orkney. There's a new centre in Scotland, 5G, that we've just set up, and we've got 5.3 million of funding from Scottish Government. So that is in addition to what we're asking for from DCMS. And Orkney is very much one of the lead partners and have been great in the last couple of years. Health, social welfare and online safety, so NHS, Age UK and SPCC. I'll let you read that as appropriate. Agri-tech, aquaculture, rural IoT. So rural IoT is something very important for energy, wind farms and so on. So Agri Epicenter, National Farmers Union, Zoetis and Scottish Sea Farms would be leading in that use case. And then for tourism, working with the Borderlands, who have a deal from the UK government and funding, and that's 4 councils in the UK, in Scotland and England. Actually 5 councils in Scotland and England, and that'll be looking at tourism, rural safety and lone workers. So that's what we'd be demonstrating. DCMS like to see use cases. We've got a number of associate members, so these are suppliers, and I think we're in a great position, unlike, or maybe others are, but a great position having key partners. You have to have the 5G hardware, the software, the core, and these are people we have worked with over a number of years, and especially in the previous project. So they would not be funded on the project. They would not be funded in the project. They would be suppliers, so we'd be purchasing from them. However, we've agreed with each one of these partners that they would be an associate member and provide additional support. We have a number of council groups interested so far. So Highlands and Islands and Orkney would lead that grouping of Highland Council, Shetlands, Argyll and Bute and Moray. Borderlands would be Cumbria would lead that, Dumfries, Northumberland, Carlisle, Scottish Borders, Cumbria of course. Central Scotland still to confirm, but we're speaking with Graham Pinfield to join this, and he'd bring Dundee, Angus, Clackmannan, Stirling and Aberdeen. So there is a bit of a Scottish theme for these first ones. And then we're also working with Castle Point, Norfolk, Thurrock, and possibly Bucks and Gloucestershire, just closing on that as well, working with a company called Regional Network Solutions. So that is a quick review of the opportunity.